thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with us. We have some questions that have been prepared for us, and we're gonna go and in this little cute, what is this name of this cat? Pusheen. Yes, in this cute Pusheen mug. So should we like rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first?
Sure.
Wait, can you do that with 3 people?
Well, yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll find out.
We can try.
Okay. Oh,
I
you
break
go first.
scissors.
Yes, there we go. Ooh, that worked out so good.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Are you guys now? I'm probably not going to be able to pronounce this correctly. Are you guys participating in NaNoWriMo month? I just call it Nano. I don't. That's. If so,
NaNoWriMo.
what are you writing? If not, why?
Okay.
Great
You go.
question. So that is National Novel Writing Month. Does everyone here know NaNoWriMo? So every month is NaNoWriMo for me because I'm a horrible procrastinator. And so I always try to write a book in a month and it goes terribly. And I just did that last month and now I have to make it better. So yes, I think I'm always doing it. What about you?
I started a blog like 2 years ago when I quit my night job. I used to work at a bar, so then I was like, I'm gonna quit to write full time. It's a great idea.
I remember then.
Yes. And so I was like, every month is gonna be a NaNoWriMo for me. And so I started keeping track of it. And there were some months where I would do like 25,000 words a month. And others were in May, I did 75.
Oh my God.
This May. And I was like, oh, this is too much. But for this year, this Nano, I am participating in it as an editing process. So I'm editing 2 books. I already turned one in yesterday.
Woohoo.
Thank you. No, the third one is the next one that I'm editing now. Thank you. I'm doing book 3. I'm doing Nano for that book, basically. Awesome. And you, I mean, you're so prolific.
Yeah, I'm not doing Nano because I'm on tour, and I would have to be out of my freaking mind to try to attempt that. And the thing is, it's been a really long time since my writing schedule has worked out that I could do Nano. Okay. But I've done a couple books doing Nano, and you know how you can friend each other, and I've written books. And I've updated, but sometimes I'll do an abbreviation. So I guess not that anybody really cares what I'm working on. But I used to, and not so much anymore, but I used to write about a book a month. I used to do. Yeah.
My goodness.
Sorry.
Is anyone in the audience doing it this month?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, and I follow you on Instagram. And I'm glad that you are doing it because I feel like a couple of months ago you were like, I'm not writing anymore.
Do you have our book covers without you? Our book covers. We did an interview. We'll pause real quick, and we drew book covers. My book covers. You guys got to see them. They're pretty amazing. She did Onyx.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Fabulous.
I did Opal.
Oh my God.
And I added to it where Damon says, I'm hot, and Kat says, shut up.
I think we should send those to your publisher for the repackage.
We got a cover reveal for you.
Listen, special edition. Okay.
Yes. Awesome.
All right, you go next.
Okay. Ooh. I don't know why I'm taking this so seriously.
Dun, 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 dun. We should have like suspense music on.
Turns out I can't hold a microphone and
or
unfold
Despacito.
A piece of paper. Oh my God, that's how my life is going right now. What is your best writing advice? Oh, that's good coming off the heels with a Nano question.
Yeah. I think that my best, the one writing advice, so I was a real big nerd when I was in high school.
I don't believe it.
And I had no friends. So I went to writing camp, like the coolest cool kid in Cool Town. And I went to writing camp, and at writing camp, we had this professor, it was teacher, Cornelius Eady, who is a very famous poet. And he used to tell us to trim the fat. So like, imagine like, he was talking about poetry, but I've applied it to my regular writing. And the way that he meant it was, you know, put down all of your words and all of your feelings, and it's like Nano, basically. Like, you just get it all down, because you can't edit a blank page. And so when you're trimming the fat, you're taking this like beautiful steak and like trimming the fat part and leaving all of the goodness. And then you have your quote unquote masterpiece, right? And then you eat it.
I like that. Trim the fat. Mine would be write the book you want to read. I think oftentimes we kind of cave to the pressure of whatever is trending at that time. Whether it's from us, ourselves, or our agents or publishers. And ultimately, if you don't want to write something, no one's going to want to read it. And so that's the best advice that I can give anybody, is write what you want to read. And it's also the advice I have to keep reminding myself of quite frequently.
I just don't know, because if I wrote what I would want to read, every book would just be like long conversations between British people at tea parties making like cutting remarks.
That would
and
be
nothing
really
would
good.
happen.
So basically, you just want to write a Jane Austen novel,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, I'm rereading Pride and Prejudice for like the 18th time right now, and I like
There's
still
a
can't
market
stop.
for that. There is a market for that.
Like a
There is.
very like a less good version of. I'm gonna pitch that to my editor. Listen, it's like Pride and
I would have a
Prejudice, but
less
just
good
less
version.
good. My best writing advice, sort of similar to what Zoraida was saying about how you can't edit a blank page. The really frustrating thing about writing a book is that you don't really know what your book is about until you finish that first draft. And you might think you do, but themes emerge and characters evolve. If you try to rewrite as you go, it's almost like building a house, but instead of building the foundation first, you build one wall, paint it, put up your pictures, and then like try to build the next wall to fit it. And it's not gonna work that way, because you have to make changes to the structure and the layout. So even though it's exhausting, you have to write your terrible, terrible first draft. And then you surprise yourself. And generally you're asking questions that you didn't realize you were interested in exploring, and it's exciting, but it's also miserable. That's like writing in a nutshell, exciting and miserable. Welcome to our club.
Yeah, and to add off that though, like one of the things too is give yourself permission to write a crappy first draft.
Yes.
Your first draft often is going to be the most craptastic thing ever, especially when you're first starting out. And I think that's really hard, because you got to turn that internal editor off.
Oh, it's so hard. I like do.
How do you do
goofy
it? Because you're like an
tricks.
actual editor.
Yeah, it's terrible. So sometimes I title the document the worst possible version of this, and then I'll pick like a really goofy font and a weird color, and it looks so ridiculous. I'm like, this isn't real.
Comic Sans.
Yes, I'll do
Comic
like
Sans.
lavender Comic Sans. And then it tricks my brain, because it's like, I can't take this seriously, so let's just do it for fun. And then later I switch to Times New Roman, and that's when you know.
That's when it's serious.
gonna get
you're like,
real.
I'm getting
Real.
down to business. This is business font. I actually change my fonts every time I edit, because it changes the shape, like, because obviously it changes the shape of the words. So like you'll catch so many mistakes that you missed. So for copy, I changed the font so that I look at it, when you're looking at it, you catch all the typos that you normally wouldn't have.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
I decrease the font once I'm done a chapter and I know I'm not going back to it. I will, because I have to. My font right now is like an 18, 20 some font. But when I know I'm not going to mess with it anymore, I decrease it to 12. I double space it, and that's how I know I'm not
You
going
can't
back.
touch it anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna pick another one.
it's locked away. It's ready
That's
to go.
really interesting.
Okay. Who is your book boyfriend?
Oh.
Okay, we have a lot. You go first.
That's really hard to pick, because there's many. I mean, there is many book boyfriends I have. I feel like yeah, you know, I was going to say, I have a reverse harem. If you don't know what that is, Google it. I
Scintillating.
think, and I'm going to say his name wrong. Is it Reese? Reese. Yeah, Reese. Yeah, I think, he holds a special part. On the adult side, I'm going to have to go with Rage from the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Yeah, those are mine. Yeah, the lollipop.
So being a book editor and a writer means I have very little time for pleasure reading. So I'm about 10 years behind the curve. So I'm just catching up to fun things now, and I have a new book boyfriend. I know some people in the room are gonna fight me, but I just recently met Damon, and my whole world has changed. I thought I knew what love was. I am wrong. Yeah.
It's like come to the dark side.
And I don't know what I'm gonna do because I have a book due in a few weeks, and now I'm just like all I want to do.
And now you're like, what asshole thing is Damon going to do next?
Yes. So I know I'm joining a very passionate club, and I'm glad to be one of you now. I'm going to need a lot of support on this journey.
Oh my God. My book boyfriend is getting his own novel soon, Nikolai from the Grishaverse. I'm so pumped. You have no idea. Sweet murder pirate prince. King, excuse me.
How dare you?
How dare I demote him? I really love Nash from Jay Cronover's the Marked Men series. Like I love that boy so much.
Which book was that?
I think he was number 4, and the
Yeah.
reason I know this is because I saw his face and I was like, oh, he's so pretty. I have to buy this book right now. And then I realized it was the 4th book in a series.
Jay's going to be happy to hear this.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yes, you might say that.
That's what they're calling it nowadays.
Just a follow up, I do distinguish between book boyfriends and book husbands. So when it's time to settle down, it's Gilbert Blythe for me for the rest of my life.
Who's that?
Gilbert Blythe and Shirley's husband from the Anne of Green Gables books.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Zoraida.
I wasn't in this country yet, okay? I didn't read those books.
He's just like a Jewish grandmother's dream. He's a doctor. All he wants to do is like study and go for
Probably
like healthy
an-
walks. No, that's okay.
It's all right.
That's okay.
It's all right. She'll support him
Yeah.
with her author salary.
Oh my God.
I had others, but now I can't. I just blanked, so it's fine.
Okay, so if you could only read one book for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh.
I want to be obnoxious and say Even Cowgirls Get the Blues by Tom Robbins.
Why is that obnoxious?
Because it's like Tom Robbins, and there's so many more books. Because I would want to pick a fantasy YA and then like ridiculous like metafiction. So between him and The Witch of Blackbird Pond, which was my favorite book as a kid.
That makes sense for you. I love that.
Yes, thank you.
This is a tough one for me because I have many books that I just reread constantly, including Anne of Green Gables. But I think if I could only choose one, I would choose my favorite that is the longest, and that would be Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, for it is fabulous and 800 pages.
So it'll keep you company for a very long time.
As it has during some dark, boring times.
So I'm gonna cheat and be really lame at this because I feel like there's too many books I would want to. So I would say go back to the old days of choose your own adventure books. Do you guys remember them where you could read and you're like, if you want to go to the store, skip to page 58. And I feel like I could waste some time choosing my own adventure.
Good. It's a good one. Wait, am I next?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. I've already lost track of time.
Yes. Why do I find unfolding so
didn't help?
difficult? No, I'm on my journey. This is character development. Speaking of which, what strong female character inspired your own? These are great questions. Thank you for these.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah. I think that watching most of the paranormal things that I read were female centric, like Charmed, even Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the original, all of them, and they were all girls with agency, and so I never really had a lack of that growing up. Even Faith, who was bad, like they were just so exemplary for like the teenage girl, even if it is like feminism through Joss Whedon. It's still like it was better than what I could have asked for. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna say the same was Buffy and also Scully from the X-Files. I do. I think 'cause she was also like a very different type of strength. Like because I feel like I feel like especially in YA, for a female character to be strong, she has to be kick-ass. She has to fight. She has to know how to kill somebody with a sword, a bow and arrow. And sometimes we devalue intelligence, emotion, and mental strength.
Yes.
And and that's why sometimes when you read some of my fantasy or whatever paranormal science fiction books, I like to start them off as everyday average girls, because you can be, there's different types of strength and out there, and I think that we don't show that. But Scully was so intelligent, and I just always liked her and Mulder's relationship.
Yeah.
But also I feel like I'm wearing the appropriate shirt for this too.
Yes.
The craft.
I love that about different types of strength. Also, I didn't realize till recently, Mulder and Scully shippers were the first. The first fan fiction was about the X-Files, or the term shipping came out of that fandom, which is so cool. Okay, so I promise I'm not going to spend all night talking about Canadian orphans, but just one more. So there's another Ella Montgomery series that I love called Emily of New Moon. Has anyone read those? She is a Canadian orphan growing up in the turn of the 20th century, and she wants to be a writer, and she wants to be a famous writer. And no one from her town has ever had these types of ambitions. They know it's extra weird for a girl, and she doesn't apologize for it, and she's sort of unabashedly ambitious and wants to be famous and rich. And that's something that's always inspired me, the idea of having these characters who don't apologize for what they want and aren't afraid to have really big goals, and not even the most noble goals. It's wonderful to want to save your family and save the world and save the human race, but sometimes you just want to be the best, and you want everyone to know that. So that was the inspiration for one of the characters in my new book, Light Years, Vesper. She's a fighter pilot, and her goal is just to prove that she's the best and everyone should bow down before her. Doesn't go according to plan, but I don't think that makes her mission any less rootable.
I love that. Sometimes you just want to be the best. That's my new Twitter bio.
Yes.
What is your favorite place to write? Where is your favorite place to write?
I used to spend a lot of time going to coffee shop, after coffee shop in Brooklyn, looking for a place with outlets for my laptop and cute boys. And
yes,
now I have a laptop with really good battery life and a boyfriend, so it doesn't matter as much. But it's still good. So yeah, coffee shops in Brooklyn with cute boys.
Right now, I just finished converting a screened-in porch into a sunroom, and so that's been my go-to place. So because it's like being outside, but not. Yeah. So I can open up the windows. I can keep them closed. It's perfect.
Yeah. This sounds really obnoxious. I really like writing in motion, on trains and on planes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't like writing on planes as much because when somebody leans back, they squish you. But I've been traveling a lot this year, and I really like writing at airports because every time I need a description for a background character, I just look at a person and then describe them. Also there's this very unique loneliness when you travel by yourself, that I find really peaceful because you're in the mid, you're in a strange place waiting to be in transit, and there's nothing else for me to do but go on an Instagram deep dive and or write.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, I had to stop writing on planes because I was working on Be With Me. And so this was many, many moons ago. And I forget the roommate's boyfriend's name at this point. There's a lot of books since then. But I'm sitting there. We're delayed on the runway for an hour and a half going to Nashville. And I'm working, and I could tell the guy next to me was kind of looking over my shoulder.
Oh, no.
Wait for it. It's because his name was the name of the character I was writing. And so he was getting more and more freaked out by it. And then we had a lovely conversation.
It's you're a very elaborate stalker.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, never again.
I can't write. You know what? I stopped writing on planes so I write romance novels under the pen name Zoe Castile. And they're a lot raunchier and sexier than the stuff in my YA, clearly. And like it's a book about male strippers, and I'm at like the sexy part, and it's like my deadline is like coming up, so I'm like I have to work on the plane, and so I'm editing like a very graphic sex scene, and the guy next to me is reading it, and I was like, oh no, do I keep going or do I keep like take a break? I don't know. That was really embarrassing.
Yeah. That is commitment to your art, right?
But
there.
I was like, you know what? This book is due tomorrow. I needed 20 more pages left, so whatever. I don't know. I didn't. We did it. We never made eye contact.
No, you don't. You don't make eye contact in that situation. You just pretend they're not there.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you listen to music while you write? And if you do, what do you listen to?
Yes. So I write books with from multiple POVs because I hate myself. So my first series, The 100, had 4 main characters, and my new book, Light Years, had 4 main characters. And since I write at such weird times, you know, sometimes I can't write every day, I come up with a playlist, or actually come up with a song really for each scene, and it gets into my head, and it captures the emotion of that moment. So no matter how long it's been since I've written that chapter, I hear the song and I'm sort of pulled in. So it's all sorts of genres. There's not one thing, but something that I feel sort of captures the central emotional conflict of that particular scene.
I do. I definitely write with music. I make a very, very curated playlist of like feelings. So especially for my romance, for my YA, because it's fantasy, I usually put on like movie scores. Like, how many times have I listened to, you know, the Hobbit song from Lord of the Rings, you know? But for my romance, I make music that my characters would listen to. So the last book that I wrote, which is the 3rd book in the series, he's from Montana and she's like Puerto Rican from New York. So like I have Selena and salsa music, and then like a bunch of Sam Hunt.
Oh my
and,
God.
And I'm like, I don't know anything about pickup trucks and like backcountry roads, but I'm like, I really like this song.
That is so fun. I want that playlist.
I used to listen to a lot of music, especially when I was writing my fantasy paranormal and there's fight scenes. There's this one's, it's from the movie Requiem for a Dream, and it's like this epic, like if there ever was a fight song that was your life, every time it came on, I just wanted to be able to get a sword and just go out there and probably accidentally stab myself. I would listen to like, this is embarrassing, Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Like, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. I love that movie.
So I would listen to that to kind of get in the mood. But now I don't listen to music. I watch TV as I write. Well, I don't watch it. I listen to it. But this is what I'm currently... Wow. Yeah, the background noise. But this is what I'm currently... I talked about this at another signing, and everyone was like, what is wrong with you? Deadly Woman on the Investigative Discovery Channel.
Oh.
Monsters Inside Me. And that's about parasites and viruses and stuff. Yeah. A lot of people can't do that show. America Under Fire, which is about like mass shootings and stuff. Then I also discovered Crime Scene Cleanup.
Oh my God.
Oh, and Night Watch. Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. And sometimes I sprinkle in like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead,
Okay.
Buffy. I rewatched from season 1, but I had to stop.
I've been rewatching Supernatural.
Yeah.
I forgot. I'm at the last season right now.
Well, Buffy, I had to stop because it had been like decade, like 10, 15, 20 years, it seems like. Maybe that long. And I didn't remember any of these episodes. So I had to stop that because
then you were like,
attention.
oh, it's like, oh yeah, now I rewatch. Sometimes I rewatch the singing episode from Buffy. Yeah, it's great. Once More with Feeling. Oh,
With those creepy looking Slenderman looking things.
That one legitimately terrifies me, so I can't. Is it my turn?
I think it's my
Your
turn.
Okay.
The next time we all hang out, remind me to tell you my story about talking to Joss Whedon for an hour at a party, not knowing who he was. Oh, you're a writer? How wonderful for you.
Good for you.
Keep it up. I'm sure you'll make it something. Oh my God. Someone's asked him, it was a dinner party, and someone asked him to pass the butter, and I thought his name was Josh, and they said, Joss, can you pass? I'm like, oh my God, no. No.
Oh man.
How many drafts did you go through to get the finished version?
some of my books, it will just be one draft, and that some of them are just really one draft. But then I have books like The Darkest Star or Storm and Fury that comes out in June. That Storm and Fury was almost 13 full drafts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just everything just wasn't, you know what I mean? Just what didn't feel right. The Darkest Star was 3 or 4 drafts.
I think Bruja Born was about 4 drafts. I don't always know what my book is about until the third draft. That's when it starts making more sense to me. Even if I outline every chapter, every beat right before I start writing. And then when you read it through and my editor sends me back 21 pages of why it sucks,
why it has potential.
Thank you. Then I start asking myself more questions, like questions that help me figure out and unravel who my characters are. So the third book is currently on its 5th draft. and I think I'm getting closer, but every draft gets me closer to where I think I need to be and where these characters are supposedly heading, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about probably 4 to 6 drafts for each book, sometimes more.
6. Let's see. Oh, if you could use one word to review your most recent book, what would it be?
Llama-rific.
Fabulous.
It was going to either be that. I thought you was going to say if you could just use one word for something, and I was like, douchebag. And then I was like, oh, that doesn't work.
Goldie Moldavsky, the author of Kill the Boy Band,
I love that book.
She's great. She called Light Years Shippy. So I'm going to say Shippy. Yeah.
I don't have a word. I don't know. It's undead.
Woo! I love that.
If you could cast your book as a movie, who would play your main characters?
There are not enough brown girl actresses for me to really pick. Do you have any off the top of your head? Because you have like actual actors.
For my other books we're taken care of. For this new one, I would love the actress from To All the Boys I've Loved Before to play Vesper.
The actor or actress?
Actress, yeah.
And I'm going to go with the actor from To All the Boys I Loved Before.
You said that. Yeah, you said
I don't
that.
care. Just Noah. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who was Googling that guy's age. Like when I saw that, I was like, me too. Like,
I was like, please.
I couldn't tell because he wasn't like CW, like, you know, where it
Yeah.
was like you can't really tell when they're older stuff. Like when they were doing Beverly Hills, the remake, where
Luke
it was
Perry
like,
was like 85.
yeah, I'm like, dude, you're 35 years old. Someone would call the police if you were hanging out of the school. Get out of here.
Get out of here. I can't think of one. Yeah.
that makes me sad. That's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
We will fix that.
It's fine.
We got to make sure it's turned into a movie. An open casting call.
Open casting.
Yes. And finally, before we open it up to questions from the audience.
Oh, Tristan. Thank you. Oh. Actually, Zac Efron, when he was younger, would have been Tristan. He would have been my ideal Tristan. Yeah.
Now he's playing Ted Bundy.
Oh, God.
Oh, Zach.
And finally, I appreciate this. Who is your book girlfriend? Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Nina Zenick. Nina Zenick. I love her. We could eat. She could just bring all the waffles. She's from Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It's my favorite series.
I'm going to go way old school on you. Cassie from The Secret Circle.
Oh my
the
God.
book, not the TV show. Sorry. Not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Cassie from the book. And it's because she spoke to my little average everyday girl and Adam. Oh, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
Cassie went from being average to you better watch out. She gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Becky from the Shopaholic books by Sophie Kinsella.
That's awesome. I love that.
So we'd love to hear questions from you guys. If we haven't answered all of your burning ones already, but you can just ask us your not
There's gonna
burning
be a
ones,
microphone.
itchy ones.
Raise your hand and we'll pass a mic around.
And definitely ask questions, because if not, we're just going to sit here and stare at each other awkwardly, and you don't want to do that.
I'm just going to go back to reading your books.
Oh.
Won't
Or
be
she'll
awkward
do
for
that. She'll be
me.
back there.
Hi. So if you could go back in time and give yourself before writing your first book any advice, what would it be?
Write the second book faster, or write the second, have the second book finished before the first book comes out. Because sometimes you get stuck marketing and doing all these other things while you're writing the second book in a series. And it delays a ton of stuff because you're looking at reviews and you're looking at other people's opinions and you're looking at nonsense, basically. And it takes away everything that takes away from the actual writing process. So I would have told myself to work on that. So book one is already sold, right? Like, so it was, book one had already sold, and I didn't even start writing book two. So I was like procrastinating and worrying about book one so much that I didn't get working to book two until much later. Yeah.
That's great advice. I second that. And I would also wish I had told myself to find an exercise routine that I could maintain when my schedule got nutty. Way too late now.
I would probably tell myself to enjoy and celebrate my accomplishments and successes more. I think one thing you fall into that trap in is like, what's next? What's next? What's next? You get a book deal, get an agent, sell books, hit a bestsellers list, get TV, movie options. But then it's always like, what's next? What's the next thing I have to achieve? And what you find out is years have passed and you haven't really sat back and looked at what you have accomplished. So I think that is probably what I would tell myself, to kind of like slow down, and enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's good advice for like everyone,
Anything.
not
Yeah.
just writers. Absolutely.
Because it's like the goalpost keeps moving after you get there.
And we do
so-
that to ourselves. I feel like we do that more to ourselves, I think, than anybody does it to us.
Absolutely. More questions?
Don't be shy.
And all I thought was, they should have a Jennifer Armentrout book in their library because of all the talking that Jennifer does in her books about that.
You know
That's
how many,
amazing.
it's hilarious, how many people I get.
Do you want to see
that-
my background screen? Okay.
Hey.
And we're wearing the same color jacket.
Yeah.
It's Dean Winchester.
I will say that I have gotten so many people, and it's kind of shocking, that are like, I started watching Supernatural because of your books. And and I'm like, what? Like, how did you not be watching it beforehand? But I do. Every single one of my books has a Supernatural reference in it, whether it's blatant in your face or it's a car they're driving or something random like rub the salt, and there's always some reference to Supernatural.
Adorable. I have that, but for Star Wars. Like, I have like implanted Star Wars references in every single one of my books. Yeah. More questions? Oh.
She asked, who's on your to be read list?
Oh man, there's a giant stack in my house.
Yeah, it's too many to name. Oh my gosh, it's so many. I haven't read a lot of YA recently because I've been working on a lot of YA. So when I'm writing YA, I tend not to read it, and I tend to read adult. And when I'm writing like contemporary, then
yeah.
I'm reading
I
fantasy,
switch.
paranormal. So I
I
almost
have-
every YA author I feel like right now.
I have a book called An Enchantment of Ravens, which came out earlier this year, and it's like it's a fairy book, kind of in the vein of Holly Black, I think. And I forget the author. I think it's like Margaret Robertson. Thank you. And so I have that on my TBR, and I also have the second book in Julie C. Dow's series. It's a duology, right?
yeah.
It's called Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix, and the first book was one of my favorite books last year, which was Empress of a Thousand Lanterns. Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. Excuse me. I'm sorry. And it's a Snow White retelling and how the evil queen becomes the evil queen. And this book is so it's like so suspenseful, and it's like you see somebody's journey, like their descent and ambition. It's like it's a true Slytherin book in that I have never rooted for a main character to devour hearts the way that I have rooted for a character in this book. Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. It's great. It's one of my favorite books from last year, and then the sequel just came out. The companion just came out.
She was
last week.
at Anderson's the day after me.
Oh yeah.
So when like sometimes when you do book signings, they allow you to take a gift. So I got that for her to sign. So I think it should be home by now for me.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I have actually read 2 books recently that if you haven't read them, you should. Empress of All Seasons. It hasn't come out yet.
That's Amiko. No.
Yeah, and it was funny because I got for some reason, I don't know who the publisher is of that, but they sent me 3 arcs randomly, and I was like, where am I getting? I'm like, what is happening? And
Is it your publisher?
Yeah, is it my publisher? Is it y'all? No, I got 3, maybe one of Macmillan's imprints. Yeah. I love that, and I also had just read about a month ago, actually it was a little bit longer ago, The Bells.
Yeah, The Bells,
Yeah.
Johnny L. Clayton.
Yeah.
Love it.
The Bells.
The Bells. Have you read Scott Westerfeld's Uglies series?
Yeah, that's a good.
It's it's like Marie Antoinette's French court. It's like a fantasy world where there are everyone's born kind of gray and like a blank slate, and then there are these women who have powers, and they're called the Belles. And so the queen and the king and queen, they monetize beauty, so they can change you down to your bones. They can make you taller, shorter, bigger, smaller. They can change your skin color, your hair, everything. And so beauty is a commodity, and so there's a rivalries. So it's part kind of like the selection, in a way, because of the girls and the sisterhood. It's wonderful.
Empress of All Seasons, and I don't think that comes out until next year. I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but I don't think it comes out until next year. But it was amazing.
Yeah, we can talk about books all day. Yes?
Gotten that if you guys had never gotten that first yes from your agents and your editors, where do you guys think you would be now?
Well, I didn't get a first yes. I was rejected 150 sometimes, and my agent rejected me once. She did not remember this, so I still have all my rejections in my emails, and every so often I like to send it to her as a reminder. I do, periodically. I just like this, especially when she sends me cuts a large check or something. I'm like, dink, just remember what you turned down. No, she did. She rejected me once before, and then I submitted it. Don't Look Back to her, and then she accepted. She made an offer representation. So, I mean, honestly, my answer is I got turned down, and I just kept trucking. And that's one thing in publishing. You have to get used to the word no. The words you suck, and even once you get yeses, and once your book is on the shelf, you're still going to get rejection all the time. So it's something you have to get super used to, I feel like.
I'm really lucky. I already had a job that I loved as a book editor. So if no one had said yes to my books, I think I would just have one job instead of 2 jobs, and I would have a lot more time to sleep and read. But I'm delighted. It's obviously great having 2 dream jobs. I just want to take a nap once in a while.
I don't know what I would do. I don't have any talents. So I feel like for me I was always a one-track mind when it came to writing, and so there was no other option. I knew this was going to happen. And thankfully I had a lot of people to support me along the way and encourage me.
What's one genre that you haven't written professionally that you would maybe in an alternate life or in the future now delve into writing yourself?
I would love to write historicals. However, I am too damn lazy to do the research necessary.
So much research.
So that will never happen. I once pitched to my agent a historical romance where everybody talks like we do now. And she was like, no. She was like, they know exactly what type of dress that was worn, and she was like, you will get eaten alive.
The women, if I were to write historical too, it'd be when they're putting on their 10,000 layers. It'd be like, and then she put on this ruffly thing on top of this other ruffly skirt.
And then there were buttons, lots of buttons and hooks. Yeah.
I would read that.
Yeah.
I just want to write a book where I don't have to figure out like where the oxygen is coming from and like the source of gravity, and if they're eating, do I have to figure out like, is that something you can grow in space? Like, I love science fiction, but it'd be fun to be able to write a scene where someone just like walks into a room and everyone accepts it because that's life. You can just walk from point A
Get
to
a
point B.
cheeseburger.
And space opera, just write a space opera. I would write a space opera. I want to do something ridiculous in space. I want to do mermaids in space. Like, that's what I need to do.
But the water filtration system, how does it work?
Also, this isn't a genre, but like, I want to write a Santa Claus romance. And like, but like young, sexy Santa Claus, not like old
Santa with a
I
six.
swear to God, I've been obsessed with this. Yeah, I've been obsessed with this all year. And
Oh my God.
I have
The North Pole has never been so hot.
Yes, there you go.
That would be the tagline.
That's my tagline. That's my tagline.
Hallmark would totally option it.
Oh God, yes. They're too.
Zac Efron can be Santa.
Oh man, this is my dream come true. I love it. Thank you for encouraging this.
I can't unsee this.
I have an entire fantasy like outline ready for it too.
Yeah. Oh my.
Like the world building, it's all done. It's all there.
You gotta do it.
I'm gonna write it.
We have time for one more question.
Would you be able to write a book co-writing with another author?
I would. I right now I'm co-editing. My friend and I, her name is Natalie C. Parker. She is the author of a book called Seafire. We just sold an anthology, a YA fantasy anthology called Vampires Never Get Old. And it's going to be 10 stories by 10 different authors with whole new versions of like rewriting the vampire myth. And so we're going to be working together, and that's going to be really interesting because we're both going to take these stories, we're both going to look at them, we're both going to edit them and bring our own points of view.
That's awesome. So I actually have co-written a book. It's a secret, but it won't be secret for long. And I co-wrote it with an author you've definitely heard of, and we've had so much fun. So watch my Twitter for announcements and her Twitter, except that you don't know who she is, but you'll figure it out soon.
Follow every young adult.
Yeah, right. I was just like, just follow every author. I probably not. And the reason being is I think it's very hard to co-write with someone. And I think a lot of authors, I mean, obviously not you guys, but I think a lot of authors go into co-writing, think it's going to be super easy. And it's one of the most difficult, and it can ruin friendships. It's very hard to rely on someone else to do what they need to do, and you do what you need to do because you're not just no longer working on your timeline, you're working on their timeline. And I don't know, I would love to one day, but I just don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah.
Last chance. Feel good? Awesome. Round of applause for these terrific women. Thanks.